Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram at Q and Review. That's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com. That's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling us on 0141 772 3979. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 25th of November 2025, from the sports section. John McGinn's celebration inspires young Glasgow footballer, and this article was written by Stephen Kinnenmonth. A young Glasgow footballer has shown how the right support can help children play with confidence. Pierce Brown, who is just 8 years old, has worn glasses since he was 3 years old and has had a passion for football for as long as he can remember. The youngster joined Pollock FC in 2021 through its Mini Kickers programme, but as he began developing his football skills, he found his glasses often got in the way. Pierce said, "When I started with the team, I was wearing glasses while on the pitch, which was difficult at times as they would often fall off. I've broken quite a few pairs of glasses while playing football." With the support of his parents and coach, Pollock FC introduced him to sports goggles, and his game has transformed. Pierce said, "I started wearing goggles last year. After wearing them for a while during games and training, I didn't want to take them off as they're really comfy and they look really cool. They just feel safer. I'm never without my glasses as I can't see much without them. My goggles have really changed my performance. I couldn't go back to wearing glasses on the pitch. My goggles have become part of the game for me now." Pierce's story comes as part of a national conversation on normalising sports goggles for young players, championed by Scotland and Aston Villa footballer John McGinn. McGinn's now famous goggle celebration was inspired by his nephew Jack, who also wears protective eyewear on the pitch. Pierce said, "The John McGinn celebration has really given me confidence when it comes to wearing my goggles and glasses. He's an icon in the football world, and it's even better knowing he's from Glasgow." Since beginning his celebration, John McGinn says he has been overwhelmed by the global response from parents and young players, receiving messages from across the world thanking him for raising awareness. He said, "I love being able to be a positive role model. Having an impact on so many kids around the world is a huge reason and motivation to do it. For me, it's a huge part of my game now and something I'll keep doing for the rest of my career." The footballer has also emphasised the importance of safety when it comes to eyewear in sport. He said, "The risk of a ball hitting a child wearing glasses is huge. Goggles protect their eyes, and with the technology available now, there's no reason any child should feel uncomfortable wearing them. It's about safety, comfort and enjoyment." Specsavers is currently supporting young footballers by offering a 10% discount on prescription sports goggles for club players under the age of 18. The campaign aims to promote safety, confidence and inclusion on the pitch. Jenny Stevenson, chairperson for Specsavers Scotland, said, "The new sports goggles campaign is about more than vision, it's about confidence and inclusion. We want young players and their parents to see sports goggles as a normal, affordable and essential part of the game so no child ever feels held back from playing the sport they love. Parents can be reassured by Specsavers' care and expertise, while players can focus on performance, knowing their eyewear is safe, durable, and designed for the demands of football. And that article was written by Stephen Kinnenmonth. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 25th of November 2025. From the sports section. Simon Jordan takes aim at Ross Desmond's Celtic AGM address, and this article was written by Martin McMillan. Former Crystal Palace chairman and TalkSport pundit Simon Jordan has criticised the scenes at Celtic's recent annual general meeting. At the AGM, Dermot Desmond's son, Ross Desmond, read out a pre-prepared message to those in attendance, which did little to change the mood at Celtic Park. Jordan, on his breakfast show with Jim White, analysed the AGM and Desmond's intervention. He said, "My nose always tells me not to bow to situations and to run towards the fire. But if you've got no order in the room and you're trying to have an orderly meeting where things are decided and you can't get that order, then you have to make a decision." The former Crystal Palace owner praised Dermot Desmond's stance on Brendan Rodgers, but took issue with the younger Desmond's address. He said, "Some of the statement read out by Ross Desmond wasn't conducive to achieving anything. It was provocative, judgmental and accusatory. You've created the provocation in the room and now you're closing the meeting on the back of it. That's not the way to do it." The 58-year-old acknowledged the legitimate concerns of the fans present at the meeting and suggested that they were justified in their reaction. He questioned what Desmond expected to achieve with his statement. Jordan continued, "If you're going to lecture people in the room, what did you expect them to do? Sit there and take it? They've got legitimate grievances. People will react when they don't like something." The pundit ended his critique with a suggestion of how he would have handled the situation differently, saying, "If it were me, I'd have said my piece, demanded order, and if people still wanting to turn it into a bear pit, I'd eject them, not close the meeting." And that article was written by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 25th of November 2025, from the sports section. Vaping law, I moved out of home aged 13 to pursue my Olympic dream. And this article was written by Susan Eaglestaff. Anastasia Vaping-Law's journey to becoming one half of Britain's best figure skating pair is far from orthodox. Having initially given up the sport aged 12, she was pursued to give it one more shot by her parents. But circumstances were such that in order to follow her skating dream, she had to move out of home aged 13 and fend for herself in the world of elite sport. It was a remarkable commitment by the young Vaping-Law, but with the Winter Olympics now less than 3 months away and the 26-year-old on the verge of making her Olympic debut, her gamble looks like it's going to pay off. But this doesn't mean she's forgotten the struggle she endured to reach this point. "My mum was in Aberdeen, but the coaches I wanted to work with were in Dundee. It wasn't possible for my mum to relocate with me, so she stayed in Aberdeen and I moved to Dundee by myself," Vaping-Law recalls. "I was housemates with an older skater, but I was doing everything for myself. I had to make my own meals, do my own laundry, get myself to school and to skating, just do everything, which was tough. I definitely had moments where I thought it was all too much for me, and so, in that sense, I had a really hard childhood. Many times I thought I just couldn't manage it and I was going to stop, but I had a feeling, although not in a big-headed way, that I was going to be able to do something in skating, and that's what kept me going. Vapinlaw was born to a Ukrainian father and English mother, and she began skating in Blackpool, where she was born and spent the first 12 years of her life. But it's since she relocated north of the border that her talent on the ice has really blossomed. She admits that having such strong ties to both Scotland and England means she finds it impossible to call herself either Scottish or English exclusively, but it's unquestionable that it's her years in Scotland which have transformed her into the world-class skater that she's now become. Coached by the much-respected Simon and Debbie Briggs in Dundee, it was in the aftermath of a knee injury in 2018 that saw Vapinlaw switch from being a single skater to pairs, and it's in this event in which she partners Luke Digby in which she's really flourished. Next week, the duo will go for their 5th consecutive British title at the British Figure Skating Championships, which begin on Wednesday in Sheffield. But Vapinlaw and Englishman Digby already have their sights set on a considerably more significant goal. The pair are all going to plan, dead certs to be named next month in Team GB's squad for the Milan Cortina 2026. And having had the best results for their careers in 2025, with a 5th place finish at the European Championships and a 12th place in the World Championships, Vapinlaw knows they're in the form of their life. And she admits that while another British title would be a welcome addition to her trophy cabinet, it's performing to her best at the Olympics that's her priority over the coming months. It's definitely a nice record that Luke and I are going for at the British Championships, she said, but this is all part of the build-up to Milan/Cortina. Both of us have always dreamt of getting to the Olympics. That's been the ultimate target from the very start, so we're so relieved to have done enough to qualify. I don't think it will really hit me until we're announced in the team though. That's when it'll start to feel real. While a good result in Vapinlaw's primary target in Milan/Cortina, she's also particularly driven to show those who might have little more than a passing interest in the sport that there's more to figure skating than ice dance, which is the discipline that Torvill and Dean brought into the mainstream in the 1980s. While pairs in which Vapinlaw competes has a select few similarities to ice dance, there's many more differences, and she's optimistic that the Olympics will be the best possible advert for her event. Figure skating isn't a big sport in the UK as a whole, never mind just Scotland, and I can't wait for people to see that it's a really tough sport and we're not just prancing about on the ice, she says. While I tell people I'm a figure skater, there's part of me that feels like I need to justify it because I feel like people don't fully appreciate it. So the Olympics is the best platform possible to promote it as a sport, and I can't wait to do that. And that article was by Susan Eaglestaff.
This is from the Glasgow Times of Wednesday, 26th November 2025, from the sports section. Barry Ferguson reveals Rangers' recruitment clashes with Thelwell. This article is by Martin Macmillan. Barry Ferguson has revealed that he and Kevin Thelwell clashed over recruitment during his interim spell at Rangers. Thelwell became the club's sporting director while Ferguson was temporarily in charge, and they had discussions about the club's future direction. Ferguson, who wanted to stay on full-time, has now disclosed some of the Scottish signings he wanted for the club, including Lawrence Shankland and Joss Mulligan. Shankland stayed at Hearts and Mulligan moved from Dundee to Hibs. The former club captain admitted that recruitment was a major area of disagreement between him and the sacked sporting director. Ferguson addressed the departures of Thelwell and former chief executive Patrick Stewart in the Daily Record. He said he had a good relationship with Stewart, who was always available to help. However, he said his relationship with Thelwell was different. Ferguson said, "Kevin was different. I only had a meeting or two with him during those 3 months before ultimately he interviewed me for the job on a full-time basis. I never spent much time with him, so it's hard for me to say what type of person he was or what he was like to work with. But yes, it's fair to say we had different ideas, especially when it came to recruitment. That's fine. Everybody has their own ways of working. Certain people are always going to disagree with those methods." Ferguson suggested that his recruitment ideas seemed more beneficial after a disappointing summer window. The £8 million striker Youssef Chermiti, along with several other signings, failed to impress, causing fans to turn against Thelwell. Ferguson continued, "The biggest issue Kevin had in the end was that the recruitment hasn't looked like value for money. He brought in 14 new players with a net spend of £20 million, and the general consensus is the team has gone back the way." Despite the underwhelming performance of the new players, Ferguson believes there is still time for some to succeed. He said there is still time for some of these new players to kickstart their careers. Danny Rowe has introduced a traffic light system to assess them. There's a couple of green lights along with 1 or 2 reds, but I think the majority are still on amber. That means there is time for them to come good. Ferguson believes Thelwell's downfall was due to the lack of immediate success of his signings. He said Kevin's problem was that not enough of the players he signed have succeeded in hitting the ground running, and ultimately he's paid the price for that. The spotlight was always likely to fall on his head. He expressed his belief that the club's resources could have been better utilised on other targets. However, he acknowledged that football is subjective and Thelwell had his own ideas. Ferguson said, "Personally, I did think money would have been better spent on other targets, but like I say, Kevin had his own idea and football is all about opinions. I felt Rangers had to go in a certain direction. Not everyone shared my opinion. But when you make signings and oversee a full reboot of the squad, you also have to take accountability for those decisions." Ferguson praised Chairman Andrew Kavanagh for his handling of the situation. He said if any Rangers fans out there were concerned about having American owners who are a bit detached from the reality on the ground in Glasgow, then on Monday morning Kavanagh didn't half put them straight. The way Kavanagh handled it was very impressive. He could have done it from arm's length over the end of a video call from his office in Philadelphia. That would have been the easy way. But the fact that he jumped on a plane to look people in the eye and hold these difficult discussions in person before stepping out in front of the cameras to take ownership of the decisions he had made. That tells me that he understands what the club is all about. And it demonstrates to the fans that he cares as deeply and passionately about Rangers as they do, which is why he is taking a real hands-on approach to dealing with the big issues. That article was by Martin Macmillan. This is from the Glasgow Times of Wednesday, the 26th of November 2025, from the sports section. Celtic AGM results revealed following a chaotic meeting. This article is by Martin Macmillan. The results of Celtic's AGM have been disclosed after a tumultuous meeting. The business event at Celtic Park last Friday morning was cut short by Chairman Peter Lawwell, who postponed proceedings after less than an hour. Shareholders expressed discontent with boos, jeers and chants of "out, out, out" and "sack the board" aimed at the top table. They also held aloft red cards in protest. The meeting was initially adjourned for 30 minutes in an attempt to calm the atmosphere. It resumed a little after 11 a.m, but lasted only around 25 minutes before the decision to call the 2025 AGM was made by Lawwell. This decision followed a statement from Ross Desmond, son of Dermot Desmond, in which he referred to a section of Celtic supporters as bullies. This further heightened tensions between the boardroom and the stands. Consequently, shareholders had until 5 p.m. to return their votes to Celtic Park. The Stock Exchange revealed that resolutions 1 to 15 all passed, while resolutions 16 and 17 were not carried. All resolutions to reappoint existing board members, including Desmond, Lawwell and Michael Nicholson, were approved. Chris Mackay, Brian Rose, Sharon Brown and Tom Allison were also reappointed as directors. The two resolutions that did not pass were put forward by the Celtic Trust. Resolution 16 called for a review of football, financial and strategic matters over a 5-year period. Resolution 17 proposed a vote of no confidence in the board and called for board restructuring. Nearly 99% of votes were cast against these resolutions. That article was by Martin Macmillan. This is from the Glasgow Times of Wednesday, the 26th of November 2025, from the sports section. Martin O'Neill sends message to Wilfried Nancy amid Celtic strife. This article is by Martin O'Neill. Interim Celtic manager Martin O'Neill has advised incoming boss Wilfried Nancy to stay clear of the club's internal strife. The French-Canadian is set to take over from O'Neill, who has been serving as the interim manager, although this may not happen until after the matches against Feyenoord and Hibs. Once in charge, Nancy will find himself at a club where there is significant discord between the supporters and the board. Protests are ongoing against key figures such as major shareholder Dermot Desmond, chairman Peter Lawwell and chief executive Michael Nicholson. After the AGM was disrupted and there were further chants against the board during the win over St Mirren, O'Neill shared his thoughts on the situation. He said it can't be helping the team. However, he advised Nancy to distance himself from all of this and focus solely on the football. O'Neill said, "I think that the new manager coming in, I think that he should divorce himself from all those proceedings. This is a fresh start for him. He hasn't been party to anything that's happened in recent times. So just let's say it was me and I'd never manage the football club again. I'd be saying, yeah, that's got nothing to do with me. I'd have to try and win some football games, and then maybe at some stage or another, if we can get a real team together that can go and compete, not just domestically, but obviously in European football." He added, well, that would be his job, absolutely, but he's got a fresh start. He's going in to step into something that really has been none of his concern. He said, and that's the way I would be approaching it. And it's not like passing the buck. It's just saying, well, sorry, that's not my making. My making now is to put Celtic back in the game. That article was by Martin O'Neill. This is from the Glasgow Times of Wednesday, the 26th of November 2025, from the sports section. Rangers fans facing illness got to meet football heroes. This article is by Gemma Parry. A group of Rangers fans battling terminal or life-changing illnesses got to meet their football heroes, thanks to the Rangers Charity Foundation. The club's official charity gave 10 fans the chance to meet the players and coaching staff, including Danny Rowell, as part of its Dream Fund initiative. The fans, all nominated by family or friends, gathered at the Rangers Training Centre for an exclusive autograph session. This was followed by a special lunch and a tour of Ibrox Stadium. 7 of the 10 guests were under 18 and facing serious health challenges. Colin Letta, who attended with his brother-in-law, Graham Glasgow, a Dream Day nominee, said, "I wanted to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for the incredible kindness and generosity shown during our recent visit. The experience meant more to us than words can fully convey." My brother-in-law, Graham, who is currently facing a terminal illness, was overwhelmed by the warmth and compassion shown by everyone we met. Your players, staff and representatives made him feel truly valued and welcomed, and the time we spent at the club brought him joy, excitement and a sense of comfort that will stay with us forever. Nico Raskin has long been Graham's favourite player, so seeing him in person was already a dream come true. When Nico came and knelt beside him for the group photo, it became a moment our family will never forget. The Foundation's Dream Fund covers special Rangers experiences throughout the season for those affected by disability, illness, bereavement or other challenging circumstances. This includes Dream Day at the Training Centre, Match Day experiences and Dream Fund letters. Foundation Charity Executive Rachel Cosgrove, who organises Dream Day experiences, says, "We loved welcoming our Dream Day guests and making sure they could have this special experience during very difficult times. They are so brave, and this is something we can offer as a club and foundation to make their days a little brighter when they are most in need of, and very much deserving of, a boost. We really appreciate the support of everyone who put their hands up to fund this special initiative at the charity ball this season." That article was by Gemma Parry.
This is from the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 27th of November 2025, from the sports section. Martindale over honest mistake versus Rangers after beaten phone call. This article is by Josh McCafferty. Livingston manager David Martindale is happy to move on after an honest mistake from the officials in his side's game against Rangers at the weekend. It comes after he had a phone call with John Beaton, who was on VAR for the match. Livingston were denied a penalty in the second half when the game was poised at 1 apiece after Tet Yengi's effort appeared to strike the hand of Rangers' Emmanuel Fernandez in the box. Post-match, a fuming Martindale believed his side were denied a clear spot kick. Now, 5 days on, he's over the honest mistake. "It was a high-level discussion at the club," said Martindale. "It is what it is. John Beaton phoned me personally. Good discussion. I've not got a problem with it. It's a mistake, an honest mistake, but that's where we are. Move on. There's no use for me sitting here talking about it anymore because I'm not wanting to use any more of my time and any more of my energy into a decision that kind of ruined what should have been a half-decent weekend for the football club and the players. I want to focus on Aberdeen. I don't want to focus on anything else." Livingston currently sit bottom of the Scottish Premiership. They welcome Aberdeen to West Lothian on Sunday. And that article was written by Josh McCafferty and read by Lynn McNeil. This is from the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 27th of November 2025, from the sports section. Paisley's Lagoon Leisure Centre pool to be closed for works. This article is by Beth Oliver. Improvement works are set to begin at a leisure centre pool in Renfrewshire. Essential upgrade and maintenance work, led by One Wren, will be carried out at the Lagoon Leisure Centre in Paisley. The swimming pool will be closed from December 8th to the 27th while the work is carried out. And these works will involve an upgrade of the pool's filtration system to improve water quality and support the operator's sustainability goals. They will also include upgrades to the locker facilities and circulation flow meter, as well as the installation of new pool covers and LED lighting. These changes aim to improve the swimming experience for the 20,000 people who use the Lagoon Leisure Centre pool each year, while also reducing the centre's environmental impact. During the closure, One Wren members will be able to use alternative facilities at Erskine Pool, Johnston Community Sports Hub, On-X Linwood and Renfrew Victoria Baths. Swimming lessons at the lagoon will be paused during this period. Direct debit payments for swimming lessons will be automatically suspended, and a spokesperson for One Wren said, "This is another important investment in the Lagoon Centre as part of our programme of improvement across all of our facilities. We're excited to see the improvements in user experience become a reality. While swimming lessons will need to be paused during the closure, we are keen to highlight that One Wren members can take advantage of being able to use our other pools for general swimming for this short period of closure. Thank you in advance to our members and customers for their ongoing support." Pool users have already been notified of the works. Lagoon members have also been given the option to pause their monthly membership payments while the improvements take place. Inquiries can be made by calling 0300 300 0250 or by emailing onewren_website inquiries at renfrewshire.gov.uk. And that article was written by Beth Oliver and read by Lynn McNeil. This is from the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 27th of November 2025, from the sports section. Premier League giants targeting talented Celtic youngster. This article is by Martin McMillan. Celtic youngster Dara Jukemi has emerged as a target for Liverpool this summer, according to a new report. The current Premier League champions are keen on the versatile player who is a youth captain for Scotland in his age group. Because of this, Liverpool Academy officials are pushing to get a deal done for the 15-year-old defender, according to the Daily Record. Also interested in the Academy prospect are fellow Premier League club Nottingham Forest, who were reportedly in advanced talks with the players' representatives back in August. To date, Jukemi has made 4 appearances for Scotland's under-15 side, scoring 1 time in the process. In years gone by, Celtic have lost young players to English clubs and beyond in similar circumstances, with infamous examples coming from the likes of Ben Gannon-Doak to Liverpool, Islam Feruz to Chelsea, and Bayern Munich's double swoop of Barry Hepburn and Liam Morrison. Elsewhere, Celtic are reportedly keen on signing Irish wonderkid Michael Noonan and are optimistic they can land him ahead of English Premier League giants. Noonan, 17, has 9 goals for Shamrock Rovers this season and became the youngest scorer ever in the Conference League, bagging against Mold at 16 years and 197 days. He scored 3 goals in 5 games for the Republic of Ireland as they made it to the last 16 of the Under-17s World Cup and has since been capped at Under-21s level. Noonan is attracting the attention of a host of clubs, with both Manchester clubs keen. But the Irish Sun is reporting Celtic are confident at being at the front of the queue. Noonan is said to see a move to the Scottish champions as attractive. And that article was written by Martin McMillan and read by Lynn McNeil. This is from the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 27th of November 2025, from the sports section. The Celtic prospects who could get club debuts versus Feyenoord. This article is by Martin McMillan. Celtic interim manager Martin O'Neill could give senior debuts to two academy prospects in the Europa League tonight. The 73-year-old named Finlay Hale and Samuel Isiguzo on the bench for Celtic's match against Feyenoord. This is likely to be O'Neill's final European match in charge of the club across two spells. Both Hale and Isiguzo are 18-year-olds. Hale, a centre-back, currently plays for Celtic B and is part of Scotland's under-19 squad. He has also represented his country at under-17 and under-16 levels and has played for Celtic's under-17 and under-18 teams. Isiguzo, the captain of Celtic B team, is a versatile player who mainly plays in midfield. He featured in a mid-season friendly versus Sligo Rovers during the 2024-25 campaign, as well as a handful of games in pre-season last summer. Having recently penned a new deal with Celtic, he is contracted to the club until the summer of 2028. And that article was written by Martin McMillan and read by Lynn McNeil.
From the Glasgow Times, Friday, 20th of November 2025, Sports section. Martin O'Neill's Celtic message to Star amid struggles, by Martin McMillan. Martin O'Neill has revealed a conversation with Michel-Ange Balikwisha, stating that the new Celtic manager will see what he can do. The Democratic Republic of Congo International joined the Scottish champions from Royal Antwerp in the summer after 18 months of interest from the club. However, he struggled to make an impact with only 2 starts and 10 appearances. In the Europa League, O'Neill chose to start Yang Hung Young over the Belgian-born attacker, leaving Balikwisha on the bench. Following the club's 3-1 victory, the interim manager shared what he had said to Balikwisha. He said, "You cannot play this game without confidence, and that's the point. But what happens over these couple of weeks, you start to some players emerging. There's 1 or 2 lads at the minute, like Balikwisha, who have not had a chance to play. I just said to him in the dressing room, with the next manager coming in, he'll see what he can do." Balikwisha's lack of game time is due to the emergence of other players in the squad. O'Neill explained, so some players who've stepped into the team and onto the mark have actually excelled in that sense, so they do not want to give their position away. Overall, it's up to the players to do that. Confidence is everything if you can play. Balikwisha was signed in the summer for £4.5 million. O'Neill's final match in charge of Celtic is expected to be Sunday's trip to Edinburgh, where they face Hibernian at Easter Road. That article was by Martin McMillan. From the Herald, Friday, 20th of November 2025, Sports section. Feyenoord star admits Celtic passed them off the park, by Martin McMillan. A Feyenoord player admitted Celtic passed him off the park. Luciano Volante praised Celtic's performance following their 3-1 victory over Feyenoord in the Europa League. The Dutch midfielder acknowledged the Scottish team's dominance throughout the match, saying they had no answer to Celtic's strategy. Mr. Volante said, "Celtic made it very difficult for us. Their midfielders were able to knock the ball around in triangles and kept control of the game. We would have liked to have done that too, but we kept passing the ball back." He added that Feyenoord's current playing style is unrecognisable from their usual approach. "The way we're playing now, it's just not the Feyenoord way." Despite taking an early lead, Mr. Volante believes the team lost momentum after Celtic scored. "We took the lead, but I think our heads dropped when Celtic scored, and we let them take command of the game." The midfielder also highlighted a crisis of confidence within the team, which he believes is impacting on their performance. "Of course there's a lack of confidence now, and you can see that in the things we do. We don't have the courage we had at the beginning of the season, and that's because of our recent results. Celtic's win against Feyenoord marks a rare away triumph in Europe. The Scottish team is currently managed by Martin O'Neill. Feyenoord, on the other hand, is led by Robin van Persie. That article was by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times, Friday, 20th November 2025. Sports section. New frontrunner emerges to become Rangers sporting director, by Martin McMillan. A new frontrunner has emerged to become Rangers' next sporting director. Kevin Thelwell was sacked on Monday after around just 6 months in the role amid changes in the club's hierarchy. Chief Executive Patrick Stewart was also dismissed as part of the reshuffle by Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers. This move came following significant criticism from fans. With Fraser Thornton now serving as interim CEO, attention has shifted to who will fill the vacant positions. Kavanagh has confirmed in a recent interview that discussions are already underway with potential candidates, but the club's not rushing into any decisions. Esports Bets has disclosed the odds for the next sporting director at Ibrox. Victor Orta, former Leeds United director, is the favourite with odds of 3-1. He's closely followed by Georg Schmidt, ex-Liverpool and Wolfsburg operator, with odds of 7-2. David Weir, former Rangers and Everton defender and current football executive, is at 9-2. Leicester's John Rudkin and ex-Monaco and Spurs director Paul Mitchell are also in the running, with odds of 5-1 and 7-1, respectively. Spokesperson for Esports Bets, Dara Harbinson, said, Rangers will be looking to move quickly after making some seismic changes off the pitch, parting ways with their chief executive and sporting director this week. The early betting points to Victor Orta as the likeliest candidate of 3-1 to take the sporting director role, closely followed by Georg Schmidt at 7-2 and former Rangers defender David Weir at 9-2. John Rudkin and Paul Mitchell are next in the market, priced 5-1 and 7-1 respectively. The betting odds for next Rangers sporting director as follows: Victor Orta 3-1, Georg Schmidt 7-2, David Weir 9-2, John Rudkin 5-1, Paul Mitchell 7-1, Tim Stuyton 8-1, Jurgen Klopp 10-1, Dan Ashworth 12-1. As the club continues its search for the new sporting director, fans will be eagerly awaiting the announcement of who will fill this important role. That article was by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times, Friday, 20th November 2025. Sports section. Braga Stars bold claim after Rangers Europa League draw, by Stuart Wilson. Braga's Victor Gomez claimed the team deserved victory against Rangers, despite being reduced to 10 men. Rangers ended their 7-game European losing streak with their first point in the competition, following a first-half penalty by James Tavernier, which was equalised by Braga's Gabri Martinez. Gomez, a defender for the Portuguese side, argued that they were the superior team, even when a man down for half an hour, he said. Actually, after the sending off, we were excellent and played our best football. We deserved the win, even though we had 10 men for a lot of the game. We created more opportunities than Rangers and should have got the 3 points. However, Gomez conceded that a draw was not a bad outcome given the circumstances. He added, But I think in the circumstances a point isn't a bad result, and we're in a great position to qualify now. Goal scorer Martinez was satisfied with taking a point back to Portugal. He said, We knew it would be difficult here. I think a draw is a good result when you consider what we were up against. Martinez's goal came from capitalising on a Rangers error, which he said was part of the team's strategy. He said, I scored from a mistake that they made, and our manager told us if we pressed Rangers, we would get opportunities. We worked so hard with a man less. That article was by Stuart Wilson.
From the Glasgow Times, Sunday, 30th of November 2025, from the sports section. Celtic breathing down Hearts' necks after O'Neill's men beat Hibernian. Report written by Anthony Brown. Martin O'Neill continues his resuscitation of Celtic's season by overseeing a fourth consecutive William Hill Premiership victory away to Hibernian on the day it emerged his caretaker stint is set to last a while longer. The hard-fought 2-1 win, earned by first-half goals from Daizen Maeda and Arne Engels, moved the resurgent champions within 2 points of faltering William Hill Premiership leaders' hearts, with a game in hand. It was widely anticipated the trip to Easter Road would represent O'Neill's farewell outing, with the Hoops having planned to announce Wilfried Nancy as their new permanent boss on Monday. But the 73-year-old Northern Irishman revealed ahead of kick-off he had received a call on Saturday to say the process is still ongoing and that there's a really decent chance he will still be in charge for Wednesday's visit of Dundee. Hibs boss David Gray made 3 changes to the side that started the 2-0 defeat at Motherwell as Jack Iredale, Darren Barlaser and the suspended Grant Hanley made way for Jordan Obita, Warren O'Hora and Miguel Chaiwa. O'Neill, who took the reins from Brendan Rodgers 5 weeks ago when Celtic were 8 points adrift of Hearts, made just one change to the side that started Thursday's 3-1 Europa League victory at Feyenoord as Marcello Sarici replaced Cian Tierney. Celtic forward Maeda had an effort ruled out for offside in the 11th minute, but it was the hosts who made the most assured start, and they almost grabbed the lead moments later when Martin Boyle knocked wide of the gaping goal from a close range after getting on the end of Nicky Catton's tantalising low delivery from the left. But Hibs gifted the champions an opener after 27 minutes. Playing out from the back, goalkeeper Rafael Salinger, under no real pressure, opted to pass to Chaiwa despite the fact he had Rio Hatate breathing down his neck. The Japanese midfielder nicked possession, advanced into the box and rolled it into the path of countryman Maeda, who slotted it into the empty net from 8 yards out. Having looked comfortable until that point, Hibs suddenly found themselves 2 down within a minute when Han Jun clipped in an inviting cross from the left and Engels stooped to power home a header from just outside the 6-yard box. The Edinburgh side suffered a further blow when Nicky Catton was forced off injured in the 38th minute, with Iredale sent on in his place. Celtic almost notched a third just before the break when Sarakis smashed a shot against the near post after being teed up by a Maeda back heel. Hibs came back into the match after the interval and they reduced the deficit into the 56th minute after being awarded a penalty. Iredale's goal-bound header from an Albita corner was deemed to have been blocked by the arm of Liam Scales, following a VAR check, and Boyle duly slotted his spot kick to the left of Kasper Schmeichel, who remained rooted to the spot. The hosts chased an equaliser thereafter, but, aided by a big save from Schmeichel to deny Chris Cadden, Celtic held firm to make further ground on Hearts. That report was written by Anthony Brown and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 30th of November 2025, from the news section. Ex-referees on inconsistency of Hibs versus Celtic penalty decision. Article written by Martin McMillan. 2 former Scottish FA referees have criticised the inconsistency of handball decisions after Celtic's Liam Scales was penalised during a game against Hibernian. The incident occurred in the second half when Scales attempted to clear a corner kick that came into the box. Referee Nick Walsh did not initially award a penalty, but, after consultation with VAR, a penalty was given. This decision allowed Martin Boyle to score, reducing Hibernian's deficit to 2-1, although Celtic ultimately emerged victorious. Des Roach and Steve Conroy, both former referees, expressed their views on the decision via the Ref's View account on X. They stated, "There's so much inconsistency with handball that the Scottish FA are constantly tying themselves in knots. Can see why that's been given, but on the other hand, we've seen so many clearer penalties not given. Transparency would be helpful." In response to the penalty incident, Scales himself, speaking to Sky Sports, said, "I'm not going to complain. I think my hand's probably up. It just come through a lot of bodies, and I just wasn't anticipating it coming to me, you know. I'd have to watch it back, but at the time, I thought that it was going to go to VAR and would probably be a penalty. Yeah, 100%, you don't know if it's going to go for or against you, but for me, I thought it was going to go to VAR and be a penalty. So, no complaints. That article was written by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 30th of November 2025, from the sports section. Rangers defender spotted in crutches at Falkirk game after surgery. Report by Martin McMillan. Rangers central defender Derek Cornelius was spotted in crutches at today's match against Falkirk. The Canadian has been sidelined due to a muscle injury sustained during the international break, necessitating surgery. Cornelius did not feature in Rangers' lineup against Livingston last weekend and was absent from the midweek squad against Braga. He was again missing from today's squad and was seen in crutches before the Falkirk match. The last update on Cornelius' condition from head coach Danny Rowe came earlier in the week. Derek had the surgery in the morning today, and that means he will be for sure longer be out, he said. Minimum the end of January, maybe longer. Rangers are currently facing a number of absences due to injuries. Alongside Cornelius, Bailey Rice and central defender John Souttar are also on the sidelines. However, Dujon Sterling, who has been out since last season, made a return to the matchday squad today. That article was written by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 30th of November 2025, from the sports section. Rangers 0, Falkirk 0. Rowe left frustrated by decision making as Rangers drop points. Report by Martin McMillan. Rangers boss Danny Rowe was left frustrated by his team's decision making in their goalless draw with Falkirk. The Ibrox club were unable to secure a win in the William Hill Premiership, bringing an end to Rowe's winning league start. Rowe said, "I understand the frustration and the disappointment. We are at home. It's not the expectation. We want to win these games." When asked about his main source of frustration during the stalemate, Rowe pinpointed the players' decision making, particularly in the final third. Decision making, he said, especially in the last 25 metres. Even in transition moments, there were some good opportunities. If you make the wrong decision, then a team can cover, can come behind, and then you have to find again the solutions. We made some final passes in dangerous areas, but then the final action, this is the biggest job for us at the moment. Despite his disappointment, Rowe acknowledged the team's defensive efforts, with 5 clean sheets from 5 games. However, he stressed the need for more creativity and goal scoring in attack. "I am happy with 5 clean sheets from 5 games, but in the final third, we need to score, and we need to create more chances," he said. Rangers were missing striker Youssef Chermiti for the match due to illness, while Diedi Gassama was left on the bench after becoming a father over the weekend. The Ibrox club will be looking to bounce back when they face Dundee United at Tannadice on Wednesday evening. That article was written by Martin McMillan and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 30th of November 2025, from the sports section. Social media abuse is ruining sport and harming athletes' careers. A piece written by sports writer Susan Egglestaff. It's hardly breaking news to suggest that social media can be, and often is, an utter cesspit. From sexism to racism to misogyny, it's all there in the click of a button. Think you've achieved something of note? Don't worry, there's someone on social media who'll pull you down. Think you're looking good? Don't worry, there's someone on social media who tell you you're fat or ugly, or both. Within sport, the social media abuse problem is becoming something of an epidemic, and for female athletes the issue is even more acute. This week, the head of Ofcom, the communications regulator, has warned that female sports stars may end up leaving social media entirely as a result of the abuse that is directed towards them. Dame Melanie Dawes has asked social media owners to take action by offering better protections, particularly to stop misogynistic abuse and pile-ons, with her plea coming to the end of a year which it seems some utterly vile social media abuse directed at female athletes, with numerous female sports stars talking about the impact the abuse is having on them. The list of sports stars, but particularly female sports stars, who are struggling to successfully navigate the murky world of social media and the abuse within it, is depressingly lengthy. From tennis player Katie Boulter to footballer Jess Carter to runner Eilish McColgan, more than a few extremely high-profile women have revealed this year the extent of the abuse that they have been subjected to. From death threats to rape threats to general abuse about their appearance, the breadth of topics that can be used to attack female athletes is endless. Eilish McColgan is an excellent case in point. I, as a big fan of McColgan, may be slightly biased, but I can't see a single thing about which McColgan should be attacked for. Yet the scale of the abuse directed towards her for being too skinny, or looking anorexic, or promoting an unhealthy body shape is astonishing. All of this abuse, goes without saying, is entirely unjustified. McColgan is a healthy looking and healthy eating elite athlete. Yes, she's lean, but funnily enough that comes with being a professional athlete who looks after their body, who runs hundreds of miles each month. McColgan, in contrast to what these trolls say about her, is as good a role model as you will find in global sport. Yet, almost daily, she's subjected to a barrage of criticism and abuse. The 35-year-old Scot seems as well equipped as anyone to deal with said criticism, and she has a remarkable ability to brush it off. But this fact makes it no less abhorrent that she has to deal with it at all. Many other female athletes will not have the ability of McColgan to let the abuse bounce off them. Indeed, the aforementioned Jess Carter, who was part of England Women's European Championship winning team earlier this year, revealed that during the tournament in this summer, she received what she called a lot of racial abuse on social media. It resulted in her taking a step back from social media, and she revealed that she even questioned whether she would have the courage to go back on the pitch and play again due to the abuse received during the tournament. Tennis player Katie Boulter also recently revealed the extent of the abuse she is on the receiving end of, with a particular message saying, "Hope you get cancer." Of course, any rational person knows immediately that all of this abuse is utterly unacceptable. But it's not enough just to brand it unacceptable. Something has to be done, and as things stand, very little is being done. The solution that some people suggest is for these female athletes to remove themselves from social media. If they're not on social media, they can't get abused, or certainly there's no direct line from the trolls to them, right? But it's not quite as simple as that. Social media has become part of most of our lives. Yes, athletes have a slightly different life to the rest of us, but it's hard not to feel like it's slightly unfair to suggest the only answer for them is they cut themselves off from social media entirely. And social media has become a vital tool for athletes to promote themselves and attract sponsors. McColgan is a great example of someone who uses social media masterfully. She has hundreds of thousands of followers, and her online presence allows her fans a glimpse into her life, as well as attracting numerous sponsorship opportunities due to her popularity and her reach. If McColgan were to remove herself entirely from social media, it's hard not to think that at least some of these sponsorship deals would disappear, and, given McColgan is out there trying to make a living, she's not in a position to cut off potential income streams. With women's sport and female athletes only attracting a tiny percentage of media coverage, the potential effect of female athletes feeling forced to leave social media, as has been suggested by the Ofcom boss this week, would be hugely damaging to women's sport. I actually have little problem with people criticising athletes. It may not be pleasant for the athletes on the receiving end, but it's part of the job that punters have the right to an opinion on a performance. But it's become blatantly obvious that the real action needs to be taken when it comes to reducing levels of social media abuse in general, and particularly when it's directed at female athletes. It's when the comments are not about the performance, but about their appearance or their skin colour, or the like, then it goes into the realms of utterly unacceptable. Perhaps the one good thing that will come out of the fact that social media abuse has become so astonishingly widespread is that we might just be at tipping point. It's hard to believe that social media bosses don't agree that their platforms being full of this extraordinary abuse is not a great position in which to be. It remains to be seen quite what action is taken, but with 2025 having reached an all-time high point of social media abuse, it hopefully means we're approaching a point very soon that sees something actually done to it, if not eradicated entirely, then certainly reduce the levels of it. Because if things continue the way they're going, the damage may well be irreparable. That article was written by Susan Eaglestaff. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 1st of December 2025, from the sports section. Hampden Park set for name change after sponsorship. Report written by Aidan Maxwell. A new name is coming to Scotland's most famous football ground. Hampden Park in Glasgow will now be known as Barclays Hampden, following a landmark sponsorship deal between the Scottish FA and Barclays. The multi-million-pound long-term partnership marks the stadium's first ever naming rights agreement. Ian Maxwell, Chief Executive of the Scottish FA, said, "We're excited to have Barclays on board as naming partner of Barclays Hampden. In the course of the conversations we've had over the past few months, to get to this point, their desire to support Scottish football, across the levels, has been clear. It's a commitment that will continue with Barclays Next Gen, the Girls' Performance Programme, and both the men's and women's Scottish Gas Scottish Cup competitions. The impact of their investment will be felt within the walls of Barclays Hampden and far beyond, not least helping fuel the kind of programmes we run that harness the power of football and make an everyday impact in Scottish society. We're looking forward to developing the partnership in the weeks, months and years to come." As part of the agreement, Barclays also becomes the title partner of the Barclays Next Gen Girls Performance Programme and the official partner of both the men's and women's Scottish Gas Scottish Cup competitions. Brendan Napier, Commercial Director of Scottish Football Marketing, said, "It's with real pride that today we unveil Barclays as the first naming partner of our national stadium, Barclays Hampden. Our home is revered all over the world as the setting for some truly iconic moments across sport and entertainment." He also referenced recent success by the national team. Mr Napier said, "Not least the heroics of our Scotland men's national team, who last month secured qualification for the FIFA World Cup with 3 of the most outstanding goals you're ever likely to see. Moments matter. You only had to look at the faces of the capacity crowd on the night to see that, and we look forward to sharing many more together at Barclays Hampden." Mr Napier emphasised that finding the right partner for Hampden was crucial. He said, "We recognise that, as a treasured national asset, the national stadium deserved the right partner, and in Barclays we know we have found just that. A world-renowned institution, committed to Scotland and Scottish football at all levels." Tom Corbett, Managing Director of Sponsorship and Client Experience at Barclays, said the partnership was a strong addition to the bank's sports sponsorship portfolio. Mr Corbett said, "We are thrilled to be ending the year with the addition of the Scottish home of football to our partnership portfolio. Hampden is a fantastic venue in a fantastic city, and this new partnership will enable us to further support the next generation of football fans and players." Stephen Flaherty, Chief Technology Officer and Head of Group Technology Infrastructure Services at Barclays, said the partnership underlines Barclays' long-term commitment to Scotland. Mr Flaherty said, "Our partnership with the Scottish FA is a reflection of Barclays' continued investment in the UK and Scotland. With over 7,000 colleagues across our Scottish campuses, one of only 2 locations globally that's every business function represented, Scotland is central to our long-term strategy. This partnership is yet another milestone as we continue to drive commercial growth, expanded resources for Scottish businesses, and offer greater choice in the market. Partnering with the Scottish FA further cements our ambition and, in a year like this, we could not be happier to enter the partnership and cheer on our teams to further glory. That article was written by Aidan Maxwell. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 1st of December 2025, from the sports section. Exclusive. Inspiring coach of Glasgow's oldest football club up for award. Article written by Anne Fotheringham. As a young deaf boy growing up in Glasgow, George McGowan just wanted to play football. I faced a lot of barriers playing in mainstream football, continuously being subbed, pushed to the side, he says. It could be isolating. I finally found the opportunity to play deaf football at the age of 15 when I discovered Glasgow Deaf Athletic, and since then I've never really been away from the game. For his selfless and relentless support of the game and his commitment to young deaf players, George won the South Sports Champion title in the regional heats of the Glasgow Community Champion Awards, run by the Glasgow Times in association with Vertu and supported by Glasgow City Council and Allied Vehicles Charitable Trust. He is now through to the grand final, which takes place on Wednesday, December the 3rd at Glasgow City Chambers. Being in the final is an honour, and I truly believe that everyone involved is a winner for the amazing work they do in their communities, he says. George is chairman of Glasgow Deaf Athletic, which, at 153 years of age, is the oldest deaf football team in the world, and older than even Rangers and Celtic. While it has no 11s team at the moment, its indoor futsal programme is thriving. Futsal is a type of football played in smaller teams. The club also helps to run deaf football sessions for 6 to 12 year olds at Torrey Glen Regional Football Centre on Thursday evenings. George's long list of achievements include helping to coach the GB women's deaf football team, who have just won bronze at the 2025 Deaf Olympics in Japan, following a 2-0 victory over Australia. The 2025 team had been asked to raise £4,000 each to fund the cost of sending athletes and support staff to Tokyo. Unlike for Olympic and Paralympic sport, the government does not directly fund athletes competing in the Deaf Olympics. We don't get any funding, so even just getting there is very stressful, says George. It was the same when I was managing the GB Deaf Women's football team at the Deaf Olympics in Taiwan in 2009. We came fourth that time, so it's unbelievable that nothing has changed. During a break from Glasgow Deaf Athletic, George helped develop the Scottish men's team, who played their first tournament in Turkey in 2024. He returned to Glasgow Deaf Athletic just before its 150th anniversary. I wanted to make sure we reached that milestone, he says. The club has survived because of the amazing efforts of people like the inspirational Sandy Brooks, who served for 60 years, and Jack Hebner, who served for 40 years. The club was founded in 1871 and was the first Deaf 11s football team in the world. It is even older than both Rangers and Celtic, which is quite an achievement. George adds, now my focus is on helping develop the game for future generations of deaf children. I want them to have the dream of playing for their country. I am really passionate about that. That article was an exclusive written by Anne Fotheringham and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Monday, the 1st of December 2025, from the sports section. Rangers star in frank admission on team's failings in Falkirk draw. Article written by digital sports journalist Blair Meikle. Jack Butland insists Rangers need to have a greater desire to both create chances and score them. The Ibrox side drew a blank in a stalemate with Falkirk, the latest underwhelming result in a poor season to date, on Sunday. While Butland kept her first home clean sheet since September, the issues were at the other end. The goalkeeper admits his teammates didn't create enough quality opportunities, while not looking like scoring the ones they did carve out. And, assessing why that might have been, he reckons the team to be more desperate to get among the goals. Performance-wise, it wasn't good enough, Butland admitted. We didn't create enough good chances and then didn't look like taking them. As a Rangers team at home to Falkirk, regardless of how well organised and well coached they are, We have to be better than what we were today. We have to be more desperate from the get-go to get a goal and to dent their confidence and to make it difficult for them. It's on us as a team to make sure that we're trying to get the forward players in the right positions, giving them support from behind, overlapping runs, putting them in good areas to go and be successful. We have to give them the confidence to go and express themselves and try to be the players that, as a club, we obviously think they can be. It's unfair to label them at the moment. I think today there weren't any well-worked tap-ins. We didn't get anyone in a real position to go and find that confidence. That's something that we really need to focus on, but that's on all of us. We need to take a few more risks and be braver because, ultimately, what happens if you don't? It just becomes the same. We need to help each other out more in the final third. Attempting to put his finger on how that can be achieved, he went on, "It's about everybody helping each other a little bit more, letting the shackles off, and just playing with a bit more freedom, helping to get these players in the positions where we know they can be difference makers," Butland continued. They might be going away in internationals where things are a lot more settled. Things haven't been very settled here. But with this manager, I believe that we're on our way to doing that. And I hope it will click, and I believe there's the ability there. You've mentioned a few, Asgard Miovski, who we know have got the ability. We've seen it, but we need to see it more often. But that's on all of us. That's on all of us helping each other out at both ends of the park, and making our lives a lot easier than perhaps we're doing at times. As told to Blair Meikle. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 1st of December 2025, from the sports section. What's holding up Wilfred Nancy's Celtic appointment? By Martin McMillan. The appointment of Wilfred Nancy as Celtic's manager has been delayed yet again. Initially slated to take charge after the Hibs match on Sunday, this has not happened. Martin O'Neill will continue as interim manager for the match against Dundee on Wednesday. Paperwork appears to be the main issue holding up the acquisition of Columbus Crew boss Nancy. O'Neill confirmed this post-match at Easter Road, explaining there was still paperwork to get over the line for the incoming Columbus Crew boss. The interim chief said, "I thought this was my farewell. I genuinely thought it was. I got a call yesterday to say there's still a little bit more paperwork to be done, and it looks as if I'll see it through to Wednesday night. I almost get embarrassingly bored with it all because this should be it." As for whether Nancy will take permanent command of Celtic, O'Neill appears confident this will happen, saying, "Yes, I think that is correct." What seems to be hindering Nancy's transition to Scotland from the US is a visa issue. According to Quastel's legal advisors, Nancy must secure an international sportsperson visa, assuming the category fits his managerial role. This visa is designed for elite sports professionals, including managers like Wilfred Nancy, who are internationally recognised and can significantly contribute to their sports development at the highest level in the UK. To obtain this, Nancy requires a governing body endorsement from the Scottish FA and a certificate of sponsorship from Celtic. He must also demonstrate his significant achievements and potential impact on UK football, meet the English language requirement, and show that he has sufficient funds to support himself without government aid. Should his visa application be successful, Nancy will need to provide biometric data and pay the application and immigration health surcharge. While talk of Nancy's potential appointment first sprouted just over 2 weeks ago, the timeline of his application submission and the stages it's at remains undisclosed. As he is applying from outside of the UK, it could take up to 8 weeks for the application to be processed, according to Quastels. The need for urgency is apparent, and it remains to be seen when Nancy will be installed officially as Celtic's permanent manager. Until then, O'Neill will remain in charge for at least the Dundee match on Wednesday. That article was written by Martin McMillan and read by Ian McKenna.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service.